Canadians don't like Indians in Canada. And it's not because they're Indian, it's because a small group of the Indians who've immigrated here cause big problems. I'd also like to make it clear that what I'm about to say isn't just directed at Indians. India was a trigger word to get you to keep watching. This is directed at all immigrants who are committing crimes. To start, Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area has become one of the most dangerous places in the world. There are cars being stolen from people off of the street at intersections, from people's driveways, and holding families up at gunpoint in their own house to steal their cars. No matter what race you are, even if you're a Canadian citizen, that is wrong. And I'm not just blaming the people who are doing this. This also is directed at the government for having bad laws. One of the laws that have been put in place is the catch and release law. This law means that after you do something, you are basically way more likely to be let free. Two instances of this is one, a man killed 2 little girls in a park with a gun recently in the Greater Toronto Area. This man was let free. Later on, the government decided that maybe we shouldn't have let this guy free, and then they started to chase him down. If the catch and release law wasn't around, that wouldn't have happened. But there is more crime than just this. Recently, in a Toronto train station, a woman who was sleeping was lit on fire. This wasn't by an Indian, this was actually by a Guatemalan, I believe. The lady died. Everybody watched. This is also a message to Canadians. Everybody watched and filmed. Nobody helped her. Nobody tried to put the fire out. They all watched. The only person who actually tried to put the fire out was the guy who lit her on fire. I'd like to now address the point about housing. Recently in Halifax, Nova Scotia, I believe it was Halifax, an apartment building was found housing 1,500 illegal immigrants from India. 1,500 in one apartment building. How is that possible? How can we let this thing slide? That is unreal. Along with the housing problem, a lot of refugees are abusing Canadian laws, and this is known. They talk about it amongst each other. There's Instagram chats, Facebook chats that you can just join and see how they're doing it. That shows how to exploit the system so they can be here illegally and get paid by the government for it. There are families here who don't work, who weren't born here, that make upwards of $80,000 per year just as a thank you for coming. There are Canadians out there, born and raised, who are struggling to make ends meet, struggling to buy food. And we're giving tax money away. Could you imagine being a Canadian, working hard all year, barely making ends meet, barely being able to buy your kids Christmas presents, and then half of your money gets taken from the government and given away to people who weren't born here? How is that okay? I'm young. I'm only 22 years old. These are just a few observations I've made that have had drastic impacts on the Canadian culture from what I've witnessed over the past 2 years alone. If you don't think immigration is a problem, illegal immigration is a problem, please do some research. And if you have any sort of issues with me, please don't commit crimes against me. Just text me. You wouldn't want my car anyways. My keys are broken. Best of luck, Canada. Justin Trudeau's out, and it's going to take a long time to fix the rules and the bad stuff that's happened.